So, Grand Teton National Park, loved it, but on the way,
we noticed that the vegetation turned from the Badlands, desert-like, to almost like we were in the Midwest farmland. There was farms with watering cornfields to mountains, and the mountains were hazy, and we found out later it was because of the fires that are coming towards Wyoming.
yep. So you'll notice in the pictures that there's a haze over everything. That haze is natural.
Yes.
That it's caused by the fires in Idaho and Northern California, a touch in Oregon, and it's floating into the area. So, camping in the park was great.
Phenomenal.
It was phenomenal.
We stayed in the Signal Mountain campground.
Yep.
Right next to the Signal Mountain Lodge. Everything you could ever want or need.
Yeah, there was everything from a restaurant there, and Signal Mountain Lake was amazing.
Beautiful.
Just beautiful sights.
The views of the Tetons from Signal Mountain Lake and the lodge were amazing.
Yep. It was just, looking right across the lake at these gorgeous mountains, and
Yes.
honestly, this is easily, and I'm not just saying this because we just are there. We're just there, but it's easily one of my favorite mountain ranges of all time.
Yes.
It's young, and you can see that. I mean, it is completely different from what we've seen in the Rockies before, what we've seen, definitely what we've seen in the Appalachians.
Yeah, in the Smokies.
This is a growing set of mountains that are still developing and still being pushed up, and it's not because of plate tectonics crashing into each other, but rather because of one of the plates falling and kind of collapsing, and that created Jackson Hole, which is properly named, and then created the Teton Mountains, which are astounding. But this is a whole different mountain range than the Rockies. I mean, I think some people think that this is, and I did, coming out here, I thought that this was part of the Rocky Mountains.
Driving in Grand Teton National Park was very, very easy. Found our way around. There were no lines wherever we went.
Yeah, the crowds, were... I've heard how terrible the crowds are, but for some reason, the Grand Teton, we were spread out enough. We didn't have crowd problems anywhere at all.
Well, there was one crowded parking lot, and I found a parking space in the parking lot. We got in, we walked the dog around a little bit where we could on the paved trail. But it was, there were people there, but it was nowhere near as crowded as we thought it would be.
Yeah, or
maybe?
as Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Or even as the Great Smoky Mountains when we were there.
Right. One of the highlights of our trip is the boat ride down Snake River.
Outstanding.
It was amazing. Our guide made it fabulous because he knew so much about.
Well, the views and everything else are incredible.
Yes.
But it was also nice that the guide knew the history of the region, why we were seeing the rocks that we were seeing on the banks, where little pockets had been formed and what had been formed where.
Yes.
It was very cool.
Yes, we saw a bald eagle. We saw beaver. We saw Canada geese, which we've been saying wrong for 57 years.
And we saw elk pulling into the campground.
Yes.
Before we were even in the camping spot, there were elk grazing right out front of it.
The guide on the boat said that he'd been hanging around the campground for a couple years, and they were getting
a couple of months.
Yeah,
and if he kept it up, they were going to have to kind of drive him away. But
but it was amazing. The views are spectacular. We took did we take a hike in Grand Teton?
We went to the top of Signal Mountain.
We went to the top of Signal Mountain.
Top of Signal Mountain, which was a great look down on the valley that was created by the glaciers coming in there, and the little pockets, the little water deposits you see there are they're called potholes, and they were created by part of the front part of the glacier falling off and then being crushed and pushed under by the weight and the force of the glacier behind it. So very, very cool stuff, and it was great. On the trip down the river to have a guy that knew what he was talking about, knew where everything was.
He'd been in the park for 17 years in some sort of fashion.
And also had skied one of the biggest mountains there. It was just slightly smaller than Mount Moran, which you'll see the most pictures of because it was clearly my favorite.
Yes.
You could see the glacier in it the best, but that's about it. Grand Teton was amazing.
The views are amazing.
Yeah, we easily could have spent a week there just boating
looking at
and
the,
looking
the
at
views,
Yeah.
hiking more.
We've come to the conclusion that we are definitely mountain and water people, and you
Yes.
combine those two, and we are in our zone. So, all right, well, so that's the Grand Tetons, and we're into Yellowstone. So we'll see you in Yellowstone Park next.